This week we're going to be dealing with emotions. As I've mentioned, our emotions are valid and deserve to be acknowledged. We shouldn't just ignore them, but we shouldn't be run by them. Sometimes it can be difficult to identify what we're feeling. If it's an uncomfortable emotion, we may not want to acknowledge its presence. We may just want to ignore it and stuff it down. But just trying to stuff something down can have the opposite effect. If your goal is just to fight it, you're giving it power. You're not only giving it power, you're denying something real about yourself. I know it can be difficult to find a quiet, uninterrupted stretch of time to do your art journaling, but we're all committed to doing our best. Let's take a minute to refocus, to be present in this moment, not worried about what's been happening today. We're going to walk away from any stresses we may have had. We're not going to be concerned for just this short amount of time about other things we think we maybe should be doing. And we're not going to worry about what's next. If you're in a stressful season of life, and there seem to be plenty of them, plenty of different stressors for every season of our lives. And if you struggle with anxiety or even depression, learning ways to practice mindfulness and grounding can be helpful. They're basically just ways to get your mind refocused, to be present in the moment you're in. And especially if you struggle with anxiety, we want to activate our parasympathetic nervous system to bring ourselves down from the aroused fight, flight, freeze response. And when struggling with severe depression, we want to be able to distract ourselves from those dark feelings that just swirl and swirl and swirl. Last week, I asked you to take some deep breaths. And that's one of the basic techniques of getting yourself focused on the reality of this moment. You have to slow down and you have to pay attention to your body. Breathing is an interesting function because it's unconscious, but we can also control it consciously. So it's a way we can kind of hijack control of the responses that happen automatically when our brain misinterprets our circumstances and surroundings as being more threatening than they actually are. If you struggle with anxiety, don't just try to fight it. Acknowledge it, be aware that it's there in a misguided attempt to protect you. Thank your misfiring system for trying to look out for you, but also invite calm. Take a moment to remind your brain that you are not in a life or death situation. You can set your hands on your thighs or on a table to remind yourself they're there, and you can interact with your environment with some control. We'll talk more in other videos about ways to deal, especially with anxiety, but also it helps with stress and depression. Getting our mind back into a place where it can think accurately about what's going on around us and inside us. So if you've had a chance to get comfortable in your space and you feel calm and ready to proceed, and even if you don't quite feel ready to proceed, but now is the time for you to do so, let's take a look at today's small art project.